coming this evening. I understand Thursday would be a better day to hold this meeting with 10 inches of snow projected. But our weatherman, Paul Hubble, decided no, tonight was the night. So, a round of applause for Paul Hubble. So if everybody would join me here this evening, I'll call this meeting to order and the Pledge of Allegiance, 7 o'clock.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call when ready.
Beck? Here. Moss, your help?
Here.
Lawson?
Here.
Fox?
Here. Any changes or adjustments to the agenda tonight?
I have an addition under consent calendar, budget amendments. I'm adding in my memo of April 5th regarding fire fund budget amendment. I sent that out to everybody on the 5th.
Want that under the consent calendar or?
Budget amendments can go under the consent calendar, sure.
All right.
There's a spot for it right under there.
And so we will make budget amendment number 1, the fire department. Any other changes tonight? Hearing none. Any conflict of interest? Hearing none. Public comment. I would like to remind everyone that our public comment is limited to 5 minutes. As we approach the 5-minute mark, I would ask you to look for me to touch my watch and my wrist, indicating that we've got about 30 seconds left to wind up. Now, we have been very lenient on this in the past, but we may start clamping down and being a little firmer. So we appreciate your comments for sure. So with that, if anyone would like to make a public comment tonight, please make your way to the podium. And if you could kindly state your name and address for the record, we would greatly appreciate it. Welcome.
Hi. My name is Jan Garvey, and I'm here with my neighbor, Shelley Rabarsik. We're 9525 Playstrom and 9543 Playstrom Road. Just to keep it simple, I sent a letter to all of you electronically on the Whitewater Township Park planning process, and I have a hard copy of the letter too. So I thought that would make it easier to incorporate it into your record. So I'm basically just going to read my letter and be done. So under 5 minutes. Whitewater Township Park is a beautiful park that township residents should be proud of. Attendance was poor at the March 25th planning meeting. We suspect many residents would be interested in the proposed plans for their township park. Due to poor communication, spring break, and homeowners not yet back in the area, many tax-paying residents did not have the opportunity to comment. We've compiled a list of our comments and questions about the planning process. Number 1, who's going to make the decisions to move forward with each phase of park improvements? Number 2, do the plans need to be approved by the Grand Traverse County Commission and or the DEQ? Number 3, what is the process for getting input from Whitewater Township residents? Number 4, how do Whitewater Township residents benefit from this park expansion? Number 5, where can Whitewater Township residents obtain a copy of the proposal submitted for the Waters Way grant? Number 6, where can Whitewater Township residents obtain a copy of the total proposed plan, phases of the plan, and cost estimates? Number 7, how will the improvements or phases be prioritized? Number 8, what kind of liability does the township have for the Whitewater Township Park? And number 9, are any of these improvements paid for out of the Whitewater Township General Fund? While we agree that the park could benefit from adding a boat wash, additional ramps, some additional parking, beyond that, we really don't see the need or benefit for any additional expansion or change. The Whitewater Township Park is a beautiful township park, and it's a real gem. Why try to make it into a large operation, which places an increased burden on Whitewater Township? Please feel free to share this letter with appropriate people who can provide us with answers to the above questions and copies of the total proposed plan as well as the grant proposal. And then we've included our contact information. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment this evening?
Good evening, John Nolan, 9933 Miami Beach Road. Just wanted a quick brief update to the board. We're currently, in reference to the drain field transfer, we are awaiting our attorney's documents, that the draft documents that we were going to prepare and have them forward. Hopefully by the end of this week, we anticipate they'll be done by the end of this week, and we'll be able to forward them onto the board here. The second thing is we're awaiting the road commission's legal direction in reference to the requirements of the right-of-way for us to be able to handle that. So those are the two final things that we're currently working on and dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else tonight for public comment? All right. No public hearings tonight, and Mr. LaPointe, welcome.
Good evening, and good to see you, Mr. Powell.
Good to see you.
Missed you. I'll give you a recap of everything I said last night. No.
I got it on tape.
You got it on tape. Okay, just a couple things. I'll give you a brief update. There's been quite a bit in the last month concerning the cutting at the airport. A lot of people were very concerned, saying that nobody was made aware of that, etc. I personally met with the director, Kevin Klein, and the chair of the commission, Doug DeYoung, and they fully have briefed the Grand Traverse County commissioners in December of that all happened. They briefed the city, they called in the Record Eagle, and a lot of people are just complaining that they were not made aware of it. That was very well publicized for those that were concerned. They went over with us the mandates they got from the FAA in terms of the clearing, etc. And after meeting with them for 2 hours, I'm very comfortable that they did what they had to do. It wasn't something they wanted to do. They looked at all the other alternatives, and the FAA is pretty direct in the requirements for safety, and you don't want to wait till you have an accident and then after the fact say, well, we should have done this, this, and this. So they're very proactive, and there's probably going to be more things that will be done in the near future. I personally am very comfortable with that group, and I think they've done a good job. Getting back to the county, finally wrapping up 2018, they discovered they had a $600,000 positive on the revenue over budget, so that was good, and a $1.5 million under budget on our expenses, so for a $2.1 million positive closing out 2018. We're going to focus again on where that money goes into the pension liability. We had a meeting this afternoon with MERS, the company that does all the actuarials for the pension debt. We're going to direct more money to that. We're going to actually lower the projection of the return on investment, lower than what they're saying it's going to be, just to be on the safe side. So we're committed to be 100% funded by 2032. We should be 100% funded all along, but anyway. So that was positive. We met with equalization at the county. They have to present to the county board the equalization going forward for the entire county. And real property across the county went up by 5.3%. So that'll be positive for all of the various budgets that are derived out of property taxes. Last month when I met with you, I had mentioned that I had toured the county jail, and Ron told everybody that was a real experience. One of the things that they're trying to do, and they've had in place for some time, the county's really leading the charge in the state, is a diversion process as opposed to finding somebody of a relatively minor felony, throwing them in jail, knowing that most of the people that get thrown in the county jail come back out into our community. They have the sobriety court and a drug court where it's a diversion. The person can opt to go to jail or participate in the diversion. And I actually sat through the sobriety court. I was really impressed. I thought that, well, maybe the person just is given the option and come back in a year. They keep, I don't know if this is a proper, the correct term, a very, very short leash on these individuals. People just get into the program and have to report at least once a week back, every Tuesday back to the court. They have a sponsor, they have to report on their progress, they get monitored for drugs, they get monitored for alcohol, and it's very, like I say, they keep them on a very tight leash. There were probably about 40 people that ran through it the day I was there. 3 of them failed. They didn't comply, they were moved aside, and the option is they're going into the jail system. So it certainly is much more positive than just throwing somebody in jail, from my take. And so follow up to that, I think I mentioned before that we were looking at the Wexford County Jail, which is a completely different design. Can be, in my mind, operated much more efficiently. We're visiting that next week, Wednesday, to take a look at it. So that if we do build a new facility, we want to make sure we get the right type of facility. And what I find most interesting is the apparent operating cost of the Wexford County Jail, which has about 10 fewer beds than we have. They operate with 20 correction officers. We operate ours with about 50 correction officers. And if you look at the design of the jail, and if the intent is to have line of sight of every person all the time, the way our jail's laid out, you probably need 50 correction officers. With theirs, it's a 2-tier, a pod type of arrangement. So, I'd like to think that if we do need to create a new jail, the savings in operating cost at about $80,000 to $90,000 a head per year can in large part fund the jail. So, long ways to go, but it's something we take a look at. So that's about it. Any questions?
Anything for Gordon?
Okay.
I will say that the wagon wheel concept, you call it pod,
Yeah.
was developed in the late 1800s with many of our psychiatric hospitals that have now become abandoned. But it was noted then that the hub is where the security officers would be, but they could peer down all corridors and with minimal staff keep track of.
Yeah, it's 2 stories, so you can, with one, you can just double, at least double. So it's anyway.
It's good design.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see anyone here from the road commission this evening. Are we hiding? And any questions on mobile medical response? Chief, that brings us to you, sir.
All right, would you like me at the podium, or are you okay with me right here?
You know, your voice is so soft, as long as you have that microphone so that
So everybody can hear me?
hear you roar.
March was a pretty uneventful month, which was good because I was gone for spring break. Had all my usual meetings that I attended. March 1st, we did receive our ISO rating, our official documentation from ISO. So we were given a 6/10 rating, which is a dual rating for that many townships get in rural areas. So kind of the rule of thumb is any area in your district that's farther away, 5 miles or farther away from a fire station, you automatically get a 10. So there's not a whole lot we can do about that second number. And as we know, the higher the number, the worse the rating is. And the actual scale is from 1 to 10. So people that are 5 miles away or farther from a fire station will have higher rates for their insurance. So that's kind of how they base that. So, and not all insurance companies use the ISO for their, for determining their rates, but many of them do, and that's kind of what we're dealing with now. But the sixth part, up in the northern part of our township, I had a hard time finding what our previous number was through rule. And I even went so far as to contact Chief Weber, and I talked to him for a little while, and he wasn't quite sure of what it was. He seemed to think it was a 6/10 as well, and I talked to the county chiefs, meeting, and they seemed to think it was a 10. You know, a lot of the chiefs have some history around here, so, or they seem to think it was a 7/10. So,
I just looked at my house insurance and it listed it as a 6.
6,
Do you think I'm within that 5 miles?
yes.
Okay.
I would have to double check, but it's interesting, because I wouldn't think they would have that information already, but it has been.
If it was existing though, they
If
would,
it was
right?
existing, it would, so. So that number, I'm not real sure, our previous rating, I'm not real sure. It seems like we would improve because they did not have on record the hydrant system that we have now, the municipal water, so that did help us out. But we fell short in a couple different areas. One was training, which I was surprised, because we knew, we do meet all of our minimum qualifications for training and recording our training. But this month, today I just signed up for Target Solutions, which is an online-based training format for all the firefighters to use, and they do all the required OSHA, my OSHA Part 74, and the state of Michigan required training. They host all of that training, which is accredited through the state of Michigan. So that, along with their tracking, and they do have ISO classes on there, should help us in the future when we do want to reapply for a new ISO rating. So hopefully that helps us out. But that's pretty much my monthly report. Any questions?
Dylan?
I'm good, thank you.
Lloyd, Planning Commission?
Well, I'm gonna wing it, I don't have my notebook, I left it at home, so I hope I remember everything. Had a meeting last Wednesday, I think it was the 3rd. Two of the big topics that we discussed, one of them was accessory structures on land, houses. We discussed it for probably a good half an hour, 45 minutes. Generally, the planning commission doesn't see much of a problem with having a structure without it going on. We seem to think that there's nothing really wrong with that, but we need to regulate it and control it. So that's kind of where they're at on that. And then we talked about the 5 acres here on the south side of town. Not knowing what the standing is with that particular ordinance, they kind of feel that it's a little bit of a burden on the people down there, but they would like to maybe recommend doing a survey on the people that live back there, and then maybe a survey on the whole township, just kind of get a feeling for them and a feeling for overall what people kind of want if it needs to be taken away. Now, if it's not a good ordinance, or not able to enforce it because it wasn't legally done, then they would just let it go away. And
and if people want it, they can petition to have it. So, but there was a lot of good discussion. If you ever get a chance to listen to the recording, there was a lot of back and forth on it. Good, well, good conversation. So, other than that, Lindsay did bring a checklist to us, to our attention, on the Planning and Zoning Act. It's a really nice checklist. I want to, maybe I'll send it to everybody here too, but it goes through a checklist on creating ordinance, it goes through a checklist on how the board is, township board is supposed to process. It also goes through a checklist on rezoning a particular piece of property. So there's a lot of great information in the process taken right out of the statute. So I thought that was a really good find by Lindsay. That's pretty much it that I can remember right off the top of my head.
Any questions for Lloyd? Cheryl, Park and Recs?
Well, the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee met last night, and all of their members were there. They did ask when an alternate is going to be appointed. They know that we have a new application. And I told them that it's the township supervisor's responsibility to bring forward new appointments. The status of the batting cage project was discussed, and some volunteers plan to get the metal roof and wind bracing installed later this month. Over the winter, we got an informal quote from Josh Tress to level the area inside the cage and spread gravel and or diamond dust in there. And I just called Josh this morning and asked him to drop off a formal quote for that so that we can get a PO issued. At the committee's recommendation, a purchase order was issued today for the batting cage net and hardware. And so we need a signature on that. And regarding the new dugouts, there's a new business agenda item later on in the agenda for purchasing the posts, the roof material, and the benches for the dugouts as recommended by the committee. And there's a 7-week lead time on getting these, so we would like to get those ordered. Let's see. Oh, and Josh Tress's quote for work at High Parade also includes removal and disposal of the old dugouts, as well as leveling that area in preparation for the new dugouts. And then also we'll be installing a concrete base for those dugouts. I do have a call into that Beacon Athletics to find out what their recommended depth of concrete is. The committee thought maybe 6 inches, so we do have money in the budget for that. Regarding the Nature Trail project, Melissa has scheduled next Monday, April 15th, to walk all of the trails with one of the guys from the Land Conservancy, who was at a meeting a few meetings ago, a couple of them, volunteering to help out with some of that. And they will be mapping out locations for kiosks and signs at Lossy Road Nature Trail, signs at Battle Creek Natural Area, and signs and benches at Whitewater Township Park. A couple other committee members might be able to tag along on that too. An update on the playground equipment at Whitewater Township Park is that Brandon Hubble and another person will be finishing the assembly of the merry-go-round and hanging the swings sometime this month. We did put in the budget money for a new slide for that playground. And the committee is recommending that that slide be purchased, although we're going to wait till March to get board approval for that. The playground inspections for all township playground equipment are scheduled in early May. So we're going to just have all of that done. And then also a grant opportunity had presented itself through Paddle Antrim, but it was decided last night that we're going to wait until their fall grant cycle to submit a request. We just have too many other projects. And then I updated the committee last night on the status of the Whitewater Township Park Master Plan. So that's it.
I thought the position available on the Park and Recreation Committee was to replace Decker.
Yes, alternate.
So Chuck is an alternate, All right.
Chuck resigned in September. They've been, 6, 7 months without an alternate.
I thought he had taken a full chair.
Oh, no, he retired.
And then you indicated that the inspections would be done in March.
Nope, early May. Did I say March? I meant May, if I
I
said
thought I
March.
heard March.
No, March is already gone, so it wouldn't be March.
What you said something about waiting till the slide in March.
May, we're gonna bring that forward, purchase of the slide
Oh, you
at our
said
May.
March.
Did I say March?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I meant
Maybe
May.
that's what she said.
Yeah,
March is already gone.
I was thinking,
So,
why are you
yeah.
gonna wait till next March?
That was
Sure,
a
okay.
misspeak.
Okay, so you're gonna wait till May?
We're gonna wait till May,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
We wanna get what's there finished up, get the inspection done,
Yeah,
and before we think about the slide.
okay.
Any other questions? I have some questions on the minutes and the consent calendar that I would like to pull out, but I would like to put it as new business number 7. That way, we don't waste all these people's time, if that's all right with you. So how would the board like to proceed? Do we just want to set the, move the location of the consent calendar,
Well,
or?
what minutes are you gonna pull out, because we should probably
There's
approve the
several.
rest of it.
There's
rest of it.
several in there, yeah, there's several in there. So let's just go with all of them. Yeah.
Okay, well, I have a correction to the 3-7 minutes, and that is that I did not add the footer at the bottom that says Whitewater Township Board minutes of 3/7/2019, so I'll be adding that.
Okay. So how would we like to proceed with that? You want to approve the consent calendar with the minutes withdrawn and move to new business number 7? Or do we just want to move the consent calendar down to new business number 7?
I don't care.
Well, then let's move the consent calendar down to number 7. So that brings us to unfinished business. Emergency services driveway. Chief, you want to give the update on our meeting with Minchin?
Yep, we, actually, Ron, Pop, and I met with, Patrick Matchin. That was, last week, I believe.
Already?
For his firm to provide engineering services for, the asphalt paving project at the fire station. And I also have gotten, who sent me an email yesterday, Ron?
Jesse, maybe?
Jesse, okay, that's right.
So in this process.
Jesse who?
We'll cover that. In this process, we needed to supply the engineers with editable drawings that AutoCAD would recognize, and therefore the engineers would have a base plot plan to start from. You know, we just had all the survey work done from Mitchell and Associate, plus all the construction work. So Jesse Mitchell from Mitchell and Associate was contacted just to make sure we had authority to provide their drawings to another contractor. And he said, yep, whatever we supply to Whitewater Township is Whitewater Township's product. So they retain no control over it. So I thought that was good. And so when Jesse asked about what do you need them for, he offered to also do engineering services for the township. So I gave him chiefs, so now instead of just 1 or 2 people, we actually have 2 more additional people who are really very interested in that work, not trying to put us off until the end of May.
Yeah. So he will, a representative from that firm will be stopping by the station tomorrow to take a look at the project. So he wants to also throw together a quote for us.
Great.
So that's as far as that has gotten.
Can I just interrupt that before anyone's hired to do anything, though, we do have to have a purchase order issued and some kind of basis of price.
Yeah,
That's the quote idea.
yeah,
Right,
they're
Right.
basically free estimates is what they're
okay, free
providing.
estimates, okay, okay.
So, it sounds like Patrick Matchin would like to do this job. He's pretty interested, you know, and not only this job, but other projects that the White Township may have, so, he was pretty excited about it. So we'll see what they come up with, actually, I'm probably gonna get together with both of them and, maybe invite them in whenever we put it on the, whichever board meeting is coming up and they're prepared, maybe we'll invite them in for like a little Q&A when they present their proposals for us. But it's going kind of slow.
And you also met with Lindsay,
Yep,
and what did you guys talk about there?
not a whole lot. She had gotten some information from Elmer's about some porous concrete that would alleviate our drainage issue up front, but they quickly took that out of the proposal because it hasn't been working too well up here in northern Michigan, as you can imagine. You know, it works great down in the southern part of the country where water, you know, will seep right through the porous concrete, and then you don't have an ice issue or anything like that. But they tried it in a couple places up here, and it didn't really work too well because if the underlayment doesn't let the water drain out of the concrete, then it will stay in the concrete and bust apart naturally when it freezes. So I think we're a couple people have asked us about the concrete option, so they may throw something in like that, but for right now, I think we are probably sticking with asphalt because of the sun, maybe.
And rain gardens? Did you and Lindsay talk about rain
yeah,
gardens?
just a little bit. She didn't, we kinda got sidetracked with the porous concrete, so, but she is willing to help us with the rain garden part of it.
For those of you in the audience who may not be familiar, the winter time, we have ice that, or snow that falls on the roof of the fire station. Then the heat goes up through the attic, as it normally does even at your house, melts, runs off into the driveway, and then we wind up with 6-8 inches of ice in front of the fire department doors, which is always a challenge to handle. And so that's what we're attempting to address by all this effort, just in case folks wonder. And rain gardens are indigenous grasses and plants, maybe weeds even, that are meant to soak up the water runoff rather than to just have it pool in a puddle. We would create some type of attractive looking arrangement with them that would have different depths of roots that will take the moisture from various layers of the soil. So we're going to try and make it look nice as well as fun. Anything else?
No, that's where we stand right now. So.
Board, any questions for Chief?
Did you question, just kind of thought when Ron said that about ice, did you question any of these guys about putting some kind of heat in front of those doors that come on automatically?
No,
You might.
that's something we could put into the
So many feet out?
specifications, yeah.
That might really help you, because there's a lot of heated driveways in northern Michigan.
Yeah, I really think the issue is with the ventilation and the insulation on the fire station. That's honestly what I think is causing the biggest problem. And it doesn't help the station, the apparatus bay doors face north,
Right.
so we don't get any of the sun. But the heat and probably poor ventilation is causing, the severe ice buildup right in front of the apparatus stations.
It's tin roof, it's gonna slide off, it's gotta slide off somewhere.
There are ice dams up on the roof, so a lot of that is held up there, but the water does, on the bottom part of it. Because the ice on top will insulate it a little bit, and then the heat from the building will cause the dripping of the ice. So this year it got really bad. I think it was probably 8 or 10 inches in some places. We actually had to chip away some of the ice in front of the engine, because the engine is so tall, we had a hard time getting it.
I would check on putting heat down there about 2 feet out.
It's a good idea to check into.
See what they, heat mat, built right into that.
Yeah, and that's electric. And another issue we're gonna run into is we are kind of maxed out with our 200 amp service at that fire station, especially after the addition.
Yeah.
We can do it with boiler.
We could do it with the boiler.
Yeah, put some PEX tubing down over there.
You see, I'll check into that. You might be surprised what it's do for you.
All right. Any other questions? Proposed pumper tanker purchase, any update on that, chief?
Well, tonight is the grand bid opening. So that is the update.
Okay. Anybody here for that? Anyone at all? Bueller?
We do have several manufacturers in the audience tonight, but a lot of them are at FDIC in Indianapolis, which I believe starts this week. Start Monday or over the weekend or something like that. So not everybody's here.
Sure. Unfinished business number 3, additional .org addresses. You know, I got to thinking, Bella, this is probably something you and I can't do because Cheryl has all the information for the account. So why don't we get with Cheryl at the beginning of the week or yet this week, and we'll decide what we can do and what we can't do with that org. How's that sound?
That's fine. What day do you think you might be available?
Are you in tomorrow?
I know.
Well, let's do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Are you around tomorrow?
I am, I don't have my calendar in front of me. I don't have the meeting in the morning that I was supposed to have, I do know that. What time are you talking about?
I'm available anytime.
6 o'clock?
Well, I was supposed to have a 9 o'clock meeting, it's now been canceled, so I would suggest 9.
9 a.m. Is that good with you, Devin?
That was a dangerous hours.
I know. I'll be ready for lunch. You too?
Yeah.
All right. New business. New business number 1, pumper tanker sealed bid openings.
I have a sealed bid opening statement that the chief wrote to read.
Okay?
Okay. The intent of this public bid opening is to document the vendors and their cost to build a new commercial chassis pumper tanker for the Whitewater Township Fire Department. A low bid from a vendor does not automatically award them a contract to build said pumper tanker. A detailed list of specifications was assembled by members of the fire department to acquire a pumper tanker apparatus that will benefit Whitewater Township and the community as a whole. Each vendor was given an identical bid packet outlining these specifications. Members of the fire department will equally review all of the proposals submitted. The review process may take several weeks and will most likely include communication with each vendor. A vendor and subsequently a manufacturer will be selected based on, but not limited to, price of the apparatus, delivery date, and also how closely they meet the specifications outlined.
You ready?
Drum roll, please.
I did send out, 7 specifications to 7 manufacturers, and we did receive 5 back. So that's pretty good in this industry, I think. The gentleman here from the vendors would attest to that more because they routinely visit bid openings and township boards and the like. So I think we did pretty good. Our goal is to get at least 3. You know, when you're spending close to $400,000 on a piece of apparatus, you wanna make sure that you get bids from several different manufacturers or vendors. So I guess we'll start by opening West Shore Fire, and this is E1. That's the apparatus manufacturer. Part of our bid specifications was to receive sealed bids.
Yeah, there's up there for me.
What's that?
There's another opener there, will that help? No.
Grab and draw at this one. So
Can't bring it to a public meeting. Oh.
West Shore Fire will provide an E1 apparatus at a price of $340,000 as they interpreted the specification.
Who's that one from, Chief?
This one here is from Spencer Manufacturing. And I believe they sell direct from the manufacturer, is that?
Correct.
Okay, so there technically isn't really a vendor with Spencer. They're factory direct. Am I scaring you?
Oh, sound like it. That wasn't
I'm gonna keep that.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas, you don't know what to do with all the wrapping.
All right, the fire truck bid from Spencer Manufacturing is $384,642.
384, 632?
642.
642.
Next is from CSI Emergency Apparatus, and this is for a Spartan. And their total price is $343,886.
343, 886?
Yeah. This manufacturer is Sutphen, S-U-T-P-H-E-N. Now, I went through Apollo down in Romeo, but they directed me to a different salesperson, so I'm not exactly sure which vendor this is. But the manufacturer is Sutton. Their price is $388,881.
388, 881.
Is that the same name?
Pardon me?
What was the name of the company?
Sutphen. SUTPHEN. And last, we have Pierce Manufacturing. And this is, the vendor is Halt Fire, H-A-L-T. This is actually a bid bond, I believe, or a performance bond. One of the bonds, and that's set from Sutton, so that's not
Okay.
exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
They wanted a second to hear that, just so we had it for the bid opening. It's got all beat up. All right, Pierce, we have a price of $380,347.
380, 347.
Yep.
Just to confirm that number, 380,347.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's it.
So we have manufacturer representation here. Does the board have any question that, not necessarily regarding the quote, but about staffing, anything that they would like to ask the representatives who appeared this evening?
We have a representative from Pierce, CSI, and Spencer.
Okay.
I know it without, Chief looks it over
That's
and
right.
gives his recommendation to us.
They're all really close. I'm happy with the pricing that is that close, you know, if you get one that's around 400,000 and one that's around 350,000, that kind of raises some red flags, which makes our work a little bit more difficult for reviewing our specifications, but, these are all real close and they're all very reputable, manufacturers and do a lot of business in Michigan and in this area as well, so I'm pretty excited about going through all of them and contacting each one of the vendors for questions that we may have.
So, Chief, do you have any questions for the folks in the audience?
I sure don't, no,
Okay.
not at this time.
And so Chief and I have been discussing that we would like to put this on the May agenda to award bids. And so we would like to at least reserve that spot on the May agenda, whether or not the technical committee, and I use the word technical committee loosely because I don't know, the review board, the first responders who are gonna take a look at this stuff with Chief, we don't know that they'll be able to meet that frequently or that quickly or whatever, but that's kind of what we're looking at this point. So that will be on the May agenda to award the bid, but may also be removed. Is that right?
Yep, that's exactly right. Now, for those of you in the audience that don't know, I mean, Whitewater Township used to have 2 board meetings every month. So that was a lot of work for them. As of April 1st, we only have 1 board meeting a month, which is still a lot of work, don't get me wrong. But we have to have our ducks in a row, so to speak, when the first of the month comes along. So month is, seems like a long time, but to review all of these here in the next few weeks, I'm hoping to get it done, and I've already talked with the guys. Firefighter Dave Tully is here to vouch for that. I've already talked with the guys, and we're willing to sit down and take a look at all these, but, you know, we don't want to rush through them either, so.
Right.
But this has been a long process, and it's a piece of apparatus that we kind of desperately need. So in that aspect, we would kind of like to get the ball rolling on this. And I suppose if we have to, we could call a special meeting, the board, that would be completely up to the board. But I guess another 30 days when we've come this far.
I was just gonna make that offer, board consensus. You know, if chief needed an extra week to complete a thorough review, I wouldn't have any problem with calling a special meeting for a topic like this.
No.
Would,
Or if he gets it done sooner, wants to have.
or sooner,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, either way. So can we send them at least with that
I'm fine.
expectation?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah,
As long as we have plenty of time to notice it.
Yep.
for a special meeting, how many hours do we need?
Well, we would never do it in just hours. I would suggest at least a week's notice should be given for the community.
But it is, the minimum is 18 hours, is that correct?
Well, it is, but.
Okay. All right, so, yeah, we've got that open to us.
Okay. Perfect.
Any other questions on new business number 1, pumper tanker sealed bid opening documents? What about, I asked if we had questions for the folks in the audience. Is the board interested in answering any questions from the people in the audience that may be here representing the folks that bid? Any thoughts?
I've got a couple questions, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Those members that submitted a proposal for the fire truck, or pumper tanker, excuse me, do you have any questions for the board that we might be able to address? Understanding that basically we know this vehicle sits on tires. Other than that, we're hoping it will be a red shade. Any questions for us?
I think all of our trucks have tires and they are red, so.
Wonderful. We're in the hunt so far then, aren't we? All right. Well, then we will move on to item number 2, approval for County Road Commission agreement for Brian.
Motion to authorize the supervisor and clerk to sign the 2019 County Road Improvement Agreement authorizing F3 Brian application.
Motion made and seconded. Is there further discussion? Roll call and running.
Bennett?
Yes.
Goss, yes, Hall?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes.
New business number 3, resolution 1909, Elk Rapids School Summer Tax Collection. So I do have some questions, though. I wasn't sure. In one of your documents, I think it was, yeah, let's see where it's at here.
There was a lot, I wasn't quite sure what order to put it in.
No, I think you did good.